I want a new deal for the Derbyshire Dales. I want to end the sort of safe seat complacency, which I think Patrick's perpetuated over the last 20 odd years or so. And a voice for young people, especially, I think they still feel quite disenfranchised by the current system. It's always had this sort of affluent image and aspect of the Derbyshire Dales, but the reality is not always the case. They have the lowest wages in the whole of Derbyshire in the Derbyshire Dales, and it gets one of the lowest government grants in the UK. So for all the sort of spin which might come out, the reality is quite different. So I want to change that, basically. I think if we have votes for 16 and 17-year-olds, it'll help to engage those people better. A lot of people choose not to vote, and predominantly younger people choose not to vote. But I just think, for a start, if 16 and 17-year-olds, or people who will be that age come the election, if they have that knowledge that they can take part in a vote which could decide their futures, I think they'd take up more of an interest, they'd read up more on it, they wouldn't possibly be as ignorant about current affairs. But also I think it's a matter of fairness as well. When you can leave school at 16, pay taxes, you can get married, you can even own a business, you can consent to medical treatment, but you can't vote. I just don't see the fairness in that. Pensioners have earned that right to have lots of brilliant benefits like free bus passes. They should absolutely keep those. But I just think when tough decisions have to be made and cuts have to be made, I don't think a special interest group, so to speak, should be exempt from that. I think pensioners who have massive cash assets or incomes, I really don't think we can justify continuing to supply them with free TV licences and winter fuel payments. I know, meeting Alan Thomas, who's one of the oldest members in the Derbyshire Dales, he was a very selfless individual. He's in his 90s, and he says that he hands back his winter fuel payments, which is brilliant. It's a great move, but I don't know. I think some pensioners will take that lead, but I don't know how many will. But it'd save quite a bit of money for a start. But also, you don't want to have this us v them mentality where pensioners are viewed as sort of, on their own, well off, not touched, and that's not the case. But I think if you can have this we're all in it together line, you've got to look at every aspect. But it's fairness, don't get me wrong. Things like bus passes, they should be kept for pensioners, but at the very top end of the income scale, I don't see how we can keep justifying providing free TV licences. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm very much in favour of TTIP, the Transatlantic Trade and Investment Partnership. I know it's been contentious and it's been important to listen to the other side, definitely. I think the key sticking point for a lot of activists, especially on the 38 Degrees website, has been they view it as a step towards privatisation of the NHS, which wouldn't be reversible. But I think you can understand where that's come from, but it is scaremongering. I think it's that ISDS component which has been removed from the talks. That seemed to be the one sort of subclause which might have potentially led to privatisation, but that's been removed, which has reassured me. And I'm just all for free trade. It's an EU-US massive trade deal. I think it'd be beneficial to our economy. We should look at free trade deals, but still address key concerns. Don't just dismiss those opposition statements. But I very much don't think it would lead to privatisation of the NHS. For a start, we need to look at mental health. That's a key priority for us. We want to set aside, it's £500 million a year to tackle mental health issues. It's not enough of a priority for the NHS and for patients, and it's such a key issue. I think all of us have been affected by it, either by potentially through ourselves, certain dark aspects of our lives, or we know someone who's struggling with mental health. It's a very serious issue. So that's a key Liberal Democrat plan to deal with that with the NHS. But also investment, we need to keep investing in it. And I know we plan to invest an extra £8 billion in real terms by 2020. We already got an additional £2 billion of investment in the last autumn statement. So it's just making sure we increase spending, especially when the deficit's been tackled, in line with growth and inflation, and investing in our health service and always keeping it free at the point of use. Nationally, I'm not happy with the current TV debate plans. I think in theory and on paper it looks good for democracy involving other minor parties, but actually it'll do the opposite. You're not going to have enough cross-party scrutiny. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it'll still be 90 minutes long as they were in 2010. So that's 7 parties as it stands, and there's not going to be enough scrutiny. The leaders will know that, so they're going to be scrambling around, desperately trying to get a distinct message, and it's going to have the adverse effect, I think. And I remember writing a blog on this a year or two ago, saying that a precedent's going to be set, and that's what's happening. The Democratic Unionist Party, they're not involved at the moment, and they have, I think, 8 MPs, and they have a right to say, well, hang on, the Green Party has 1 MP, UKIP has 2, we have more than that, why aren't we involved? And then, are we going to have the Monster Raving Loony Party demanding a podium next if they have a surge in support somewhere or other? It just doesn't make sense to me, and I don't think it'll work. And also, the third and final debate does the opposite and is exclusive. It's just Miliband and Cameron. And you may think I'm biased here, and I guess I am to a degree, but I think, bear in mind, we are a party of government, we're part of the coalition, we should be defending our interests. I know, as he has tried to do already, David Cameron will try and take credit for distinctive Liberal Democrat policies like raising the income tax threshold, which, if you go on YouTube, you can see he said wasn't affordable in 2010. But people might be swayed by that because there isn't another voice there to counter that. So that just seems very unfair to me and counterproductive. But on a local level, I'm pleased that we've got quite a few debates lined up already. There's a NHS debate on the 27th of March, which is at 7 o'clock. It works with Town Hall. But the key thing is with that debate to make sure Patrick takes part. He's not given a definitive yes either way. But we need our MP, our Derbyshire Dales MP, to put his case forward and to be challenged and held account to. And we need to be held to account as well as fellow candidates. I know Andy Botham said yes to Labour candidate. Ian Wood has the Green Party candidate. So it'll be a very lively debate, I hope. At Eam Church, there's a debate on the 16th of April. That's a general debate, again, between me and my fellow candidates. That's at 8 o'clock. And also Amnesty International holding a debate on the 1st of May at St Joseph's Church in Matlock, which I think could be another general debate, or it could be specific to Amnesty International. So I'm looking forward to those. I'll be nervous but also excited about putting forward our case at a local and national level. But it's vital, and I've written to Patrick McLaughlin to ask for a definitive yes or no on this, but it's key that he takes part. Otherwise he's just taking his voters for granted, assuming that the same demographics will vote him in. But also I'm very hopeful, and I've written to the organisers hoping that they'll screen the debates as well, so that it's not just for the people that attend, also people can look back on the debate and play it back again and analyse it and see it for themselves. We're in a social media 21st century age. It's right that we have that approach in our debates as well. Very straightforward. We build on the achievements we've built upon in the coalition. So the income tax threshold's a key one. It's already at 10,000. It'll be 10,600 in April. We want that to go to 12,500, which is roughly the minimum wage level. So taking anyone on minimum wage out of income tax altogether. Crucially as well, we want to align national insurance with that. So another further tax cut, raise that threshold as well. Extend free childcare to working families with children aged between 9 months and 2 years. That's 15 hours we want free childcare, which could save the average working family nearly £3,000 a year. That's a key goal of ours. As I've said earlier on, the NHS investing in that as well. But to sum it up, crucially, is to cut less than the Tories but borrow less than Labour, so we have a nice balanced approach which isn't too dogmatic or ideological. It just seems window dressing to me. It seems a short-term populist game. I mean, I know as a Liberal Democrat we learned the hard way that if you make grand promises in opposition, which you might not be able to see through when you get into government, it comes back to haunt you. And I think it'll come back to haunt Labour as well. And actually it's counterproductive. It will benefit the richest graduates. I think those who start on an income of £35,000 a year, they're the ones who benefit, whereas poor students won't. We got the best out of a bad situation. We were wrong to go back on our pledge, but we actually got a very progressive deal, as we've made a point frequently. It's only when you earn over £21,000 that you start paying it back. Compared to me, who I was under the old system, it's £15,000 a year for me that I have to start paying it back. And also there are those extra bursaries and waivers for students from poorer backgrounds who have to pay that £9,000. We have a record number of students under the new system, more people from disadvantaged backgrounds. So the new system's actually starting to work, and we've already tampered with it once to do it again so soon just doesn't seem right to me. And also there's a cost aspect as well. I think Labour seem to think it will be costed for the immediate plan of decreasing tuition fees, But actually, key university figures, vice-chancellors, the Russell Group have said that there'll be a £10 billion shortfall with the current system. So you're starving universities of funding. They'll become more reliant on the government. So the Labour Party have to think of other ways to make up that shortfall. And also, we always have to be frank about our record on tuition fees and hold our hands up, but we've got a good deal out of it in the end. It's essentially a graduate tax, but we can't be lectured by the Labour Party on it. We were a junior party member of a coalition, so we had to make compromises. They pledged not to increase tuition fees. With a landslide majority, then did so. And then with another landslide majority, when they promised not to bring in top-up fees, they did it again. So what was their excuse? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me at all.